Everybody has their go-to games that they can pick up and replay multiple times and never get bored of them. There are a lot of games I personally find to be endlessly replayable, like The Binding of Isaac and Ape Escape. There's one game that stands above them in my eyes though, and it's also the first game that I have ever beaten. Super Mario World. This game grip-kicked me by the shoulders and pulled me into an experience I never could have anticipated. Watching paths get filled out as you beat levels was super satisfying for me, and watching how things on the map would change as you played further got me more and more excited to see everything the game had to offer. Secret exits amplified this, as I would spend hours upon hours searching through levels for whatever hidden routes I could find. I would get super excited when I discovered paths to completely new areas. I have vivid memories of calling for my mom to show her whatever cool new area I found, and she'd walk in, look at the screen for half a second and say, "That's nice, honey," before going back to whatever chore I interrupted. Good times. Over the years, I have beaten Super Mario World countless times, 100%ing every file, erasing them all, and then doing it all over again. It's one of those games where I can boot it up any day of the week and have a great time with, spending hours going through the game and finding all the secrets. However, as I get older and Super Mario World continues to stay the same, I find myself wishing to find ways to spice up new playthroughs. The general ROM hacking scene was there, creating new experiences out of this classic title, and while I enjoyed my time delving into these, this didn't scratch the itch I had. I wanted something a bit more specific. I wanted ways to re-experience the original game, but with alterations that don't involve replacing all the levels with new ones. So, I started my search for ways to replay Super Mario World with changes and twists that would enhance the original experience rather than replacing it. Today, I'd like to share my findings with you all. If you're on the hunt for cool and interesting ways to replay Super Mario World, you've come to the right place. This will be especially helpful if, like me, you've been priced out of modern gaming and need as many methods as possible to keep the classics feeling fresh. Alright, let's get into it. For this video, I'll be skipping over the ports that simply make the Super Nintendo original version playable on other consoles, such as the Wii, 3DS, and Switch ports. I'll be focusing on the more involved ones that required some extra work to make the game playable on the platform of choice. Before we get directly into those, however, I would like to mention Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World. This game combines the title Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World into one, making a massive collection of 5 Super Mario Bros. Games. The version of Super Mario World here is worth seeking out for one reason and one reason alone: new sprites for Luigi. Luigi is my favorite of the brothers. My favorite color has always been green, so naturally I gravitated towards our green-clad Plumber during my formative years. Many of the playthroughs of Super Mario World I did as a kid would start in 2-player mode, as I would quickly transfer all of Mario's lives to Luigi and then kill him off so I could play the entire game as my favorite lean boy. What's annoying about Luigi in Super Mario World is that his sprites are just recolors of Mario's, making him feel less unique overall. The All-Stars version fixes this by giving him a unique set of sprites, and honestly, these are great. Luigi has so much attitude in this version of the game. Bro sliding on his knees, crossing his arms after being a stage. He's here to get business done and looks stylish as he does it. He does do some goofy stuff though, like hitting blocks with his head and spitting out fireballs instead of throwing them. I can overlook it though because he's my son, he makes me smile. If you want some good Luigi sprites in your next playthrough of Super Mario World, this version of the game's hard to beat. Okay, now on to some actual ports. Super Mario World on the Game Boy Advance makes the dream of Peak on the Go real. It introduces some changes and additions that make it a pretty unique way to re-experience the game. Firstly, they had to make some compromises in the controls department to account for the lack of X and Y buttons. Thankfully, spin jumping is as simple as hitting the R button, with the L button allowing you to adjust the camera during stages. This honestly works pretty well and never felt cumbersome to use. Since this game can't be played in 2 players multiplayer anymore, they made it so Mario and Luigi are traveling together for this port. By hitting R on the world map, you can switch between Mario and Luigi. Luigi once again has a new set of sprites on him, different from both SNES versions. But what makes Luigi stand out the most is how he controls. He has his floaty jump from Super Mario Bros. 2, and his fireballs also bounce a bit higher than the ones Mario shoots. While he's on Yoshi, the enemies he gobbles up can be spat back out as projectiles rather than being immediately swallowed. These and other quirks of Luigi make playing as him for this game a much different experience than you get as Mario. This version also takes into consideration the fact that you're playing on a portable device, allowing you to save at any time. This also has the added benefit of making Super Mario World a much more comfortable game to beat, as you won't be worrying as much about losing a ton of progress if you run out of lives. There's a ton of other small miscellaneous differences here make the GBA version stand out, but the last thing I want to mention about the GBA port of Super Mario World is the bonus game it comes with, a full remake of the arcade game Mario Bros. Every entry in the Super Mario Advance series of games includes this extra, and honestly, this may be the best way to experience that game. The controls are smoother, the graphics got a nice upgrade, and you can play it with 3 other peeps as long as you've got a link cable handy. You can even play one of the modes in multiplayer with only one game pack. It was DS Download Play before DS Download Play. I have many memories of playing the multiplayer mode with friends, trying to get as far as we could without accidentally knocking each other into enemies. Despite how little content there was in that arcade game, it did a great job of holding Kid Me's attention. I'm sure you could easily lose an hour or 2 playing it today. But now, let's talk about something a little less official. Super Mario World on the NES is truly a bizarre beast, developed by a group called Hummer Team. This version of Super Mario World released on bootleg multi-game cartridges in 1995. Being a bootleg demake, there's a lot of compromise going on with this version of the game. For example, there's a lot of levels missing due to the limitations of the NES. Some bosses aren't present as well. The physics are also wonky, with Mario having an awkward jump and slope traversal behaving in unrealistic ways. The level design also doesn't complement the awkward jumping, and enemy hitboxes are very deceptive here, leading to a lot of unfair deaths. Despite these shortcomings, I am absolutely infatuated with this version of the game because there really was a true effort to bring the SNES launch title to its much weaker predecessor. They were actually able to accomplish some surprising feats with this port as well. In an interview with the development team of Super Mario World in 1990, programmer Toshihiko Nakago mentions how they couldn't make Mario, Ryan, Yoshi work until they started working with the SNES, saying, "We came up with that idea a long time ago, but couldn't do it on the Famicom. I'm really happy we got to realize that in Super Mario World." Somehow, this bootleg developer team was able to figure out what Nintendo couldn't by getting Yoshi to work on this port of Super Mario World. Of course, this was 5 years after the release of the original game, so chances are people who were still working with NES hardware by that point would learn some tricks to make it possible. But it's still exciting to see Yoshi working as well as they are here, even in this unofficial space. Now, it may seem like a hard sell and encourage you all to go seek out an unlicensed and objectively lesser version of Super Mario World as a way to put a spin on replaying said title, but seeing the workarounds they did to make certain stages work and how far they went to try and make things look as close as possible to the original game makes this version a standout. Definitely give this one a try if you can track it down, if only for the sake of seeing how the NES can handle the mighty Super Mario World. These ports are unique and interesting in their own ways, but they can be improved to become even more enjoyable, or just enjoyable in general in terms of the NES version of Super Mario World. The ROM hacking communities for these titles have put in plenty of work over the years to put out patches that improve the gameplay experiences of these titles, whether it's through general gameplay improvements or through visual and audio enhancements. I'll be linking the patches I mention in this video in the description, so make sure to check there if anything I mention sounds interesting to you. Let's start with the GBA port of Super Mario World. While this is a solid port, many gamers over the years took issue with the washed out colors, which was necessary at the time to make the game easier to see on the original GBA handhelds, which didn't have backlit screens. Thanks to the efforts of ROM hacker Asaki, we have a patch that aims to correct this, replacing the colors used for the GBA port with the colors of the SNES original. This makes the game much easier on the eyes, allowing for more comfortable gameplay sessions. Another thing that this game, as well as the other Mario Advance games, introduces is voice acting for Mario and Co. Things like grabbing power-ups and clearing stages are accompanied by Mario and Luigi making some noises.
Let's go! Just what I needed!
Personally, I don't mind them, but it can be a little grating for some, so if you're one of those people, Manga Man 3000's got the mod for you. Their mod removes Mario and Luigi's sounds as well as some other noises not present in the SNES version, allowing for an audio experience closer to the original game. Maybe this was just what you needed? Huh? In terms of GBA Super Mario World hacks, I saved the best for last. Let's take another look at Luigi. His sprites are alright in this version, but I do miss the sprites he had in the All-Stars version of Super Mario World. Thankfully, I'm not the only one. JY and Emiliano Mario 27's hack swaps out Luigi's advanced sprites for the sprites he had in All-Stars. Now you can enjoy Luigi's cool sprites on the go. What makes this hack a standout is that it's compatible with both hacks I mentioned earlier, so you can have the Luigi sprites and the corrected colors, creating the ultimate Super Mario World GBA experience. The unofficial NES version also has some fan-made tweaks to make it a better time. The Jabu's improvement patch fixes a number of issues with the game, including keeping the screen centered and fixing the weird jump. There's also some graphical changes to make enemies and stage elements look closer to the SNES original. You can also apply Cap'n Katie's addendum patch to this one, which will give the blocks some new graphics so they look closer to the original game. With these two patches combined, you'll have an experience that makes this port feel more official than ever before. Now, as much as I like Luigi's sprites in the All-Stars version of Super Mario World, there are some that look at him and see a beast that is demonic in nature. If you're one of those people, you're in luck. The Nintendo 64's patch replaces the Luigi sprites in Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World with the ones he had in the GBA version. Now, you can enjoy this version of the game without a Luigi that's dead sad giving himself brain damage. I think we've talked enough about the other versions of Super Mario World that are out there. Now, let's look at some patches that exist to enhance the original game. Remember how I brought up that in order to play as Luigi in the original, you had to basically sacrifice Mario by taking all of his lives and get a game over as him? Well, thanks to Seffi's Super Luigi World hack, this is no longer a necessary step. Not only does this patch make it so player 1 is Luigi and player 2 is Mario, but it also makes the game appear as if Luigi was the main character. The title screen is different, the file options mention Luigi, and every mention of Mario in text boxes throughout the game is replaced with Luigi. On top of all of that, you also have Luigi's cool sprites from Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World here, making this hack the ultimate experience for Luigi heads who wanted a platformer starring him, not counting Super Luigi U, of course. What if you don't want to play as Luigi or Mario? Well, you're in luck, because there are some other patches that introduce other playable characters to the game. Falchion 22's Super Peach World DX makes Peach the main character as she embarks on a quest to save Mario. This patch is a great choice for Peach fans who wish he was playable in more platformers. We also have a patch for Dupless fans. Luigi's Super Mario World featuring Dupless has players taking control of Dupless from Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. The sprite made for him is pretty big and detailed too. This is definitely an impressive character patch that's absolutely worth checking out. This next graphics patch will be a treat for fans of Super Mario Bros. 3. PAC's, wait, is it PAC or POC? Let's assume PAC. PAC's Super Mario World Enhanced is a graphical overhaul patch that replaces all of the graphics in the game with those used in Super Mario Bros. 3. Backgrounds, enemies, collectibles, and even Mario and Luigi all look like they did in Super Mario Bros. 3. Well, to be specific, the sprites here are from Super Mario All-Stars and the GBA port Super Mario Bros. 3, but it's still Super Mario Bros. 3 stuff at the end of the day, which is what matters most here. In my opinion, some of the most impressive mods of SNES games are those that incorporate MSU1. For those unaware, MSU1 is a custom coprocessor designed by the late Nier, who was a prominent figure in the SNES modding scene. This coprocessor allows Super Nintendo games to play CD quality audio and full motion videos. Many modders have taken advantage of this coprocessor to do insanely impressive things with Super Nintendo games. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is a shining example of what MSU1 can do to enhance games. Instead of hearing this when you boot up the game, you hear this. And then, when you start a new game, you're treated to this scene. The craziest part is that you can get this and other MSU1 mods running on real hardware. That's right, if you own a flash cartridge and get the files in order, you can hear and see stuff like this on your actual Super Nintendo. It's a wild experience playing an SNES game and hearing it sound like you're playing on a console from one generation in the future. Naturally, there are some MSU1 mods for Super Mario World as well. First, we had Khan's Super Mario World MSU1 hack, which aimed to replace the game's soundtrack with CD quality remixes of each song. You even have two PCM sets to choose from when setting this up, which are basically two different sets of soundtracks, allowing you some extra freedom in regard to setting up your ideal enhanced Super Mario World soundtrack. Soon after the release of this, NTI Productions, in collaboration with Yoshi Fanatic and Kiddo Cabasses, would release Super Mario World MSU1 Plus. This version of the MSU1 mod does a lot of neat stuff. Along with a plethora of bug fixes, you're also getting Luigi's All-Stars plus World sprites. But that's not all. We now have some of Mario and Luigi's voice clips from other games here.
I'm Luigi's #1. Here I go. Oh, mamma mia.
You'll mostly hear them when being a stage or dying, so there's no fear of hearing voice clips rapidly here. There's also some extra PCM sets available for this version of the mod that allows you to have the soundtracks of other Mario games playing instead of remixes. Do you want to play Super Mario World to the soundtrack of Super Mario Odyssey? Well, now you can. This on its own sounds like an amazing way to enhance the soundtrack of Super Mario World, but what if we went even further beyond? Years after the release of MSU1 Plus, QBear would put out the ultimate expansion to the mod in the form of Super Mario World MSU1 Plus Ultra. What does this mod do, you ask? Well, on top of everything that MSU1 Plus did, this version gives each and every single level its own specific remix, bringing the track list up to 130. This is easily the most ambitious music replacement mod for this game. Each level having its own unique track does a lot to help each stage stand out more. It also helps that the remixes in this mod are all really good. This new layer of discoverability in the form of finding all of these new songs to hear definitely makes this mod worth using for your next playthrough. Remember Bowsette? For the uninitiated, back in 2018, an artist with the handle AYYK92 drew a webcomic that featured Bowser using an item called the Super Crown, which was introduced in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe as an item that would turn Toadette into Peachette. In this comic, this basically turns him into an anime girl that went on to be referred to as Bowsette. This comic gained a ton of traction very quickly when it was first posted, resulting in tons upon tons of fan art of the character, as well as various anime girl versions of male characters from various franchises all donning the Super Crown. This would lead to the creation of Super Mario World Bowsette Edition by Moltz. There's two different versions of this hack. One's where you're fighting against Bowsette, and another where you're fighting against Peach, who has kidnapped her. While the game is mostly identical to the original, there are some slight alterations to some of the level design. These are never anything drastic, thankfully. Usually just an enemy or two getting placed where they weren't in the original. There have been some other changes though. Boss fights have been made slightly harder, with some having more hazards and others having the Koopalings move a bit faster. The fight against Bowsette/Peach has also been given a difficulty boost, so avid players of the original will have to keep on their toes for that bout. Also, an extra boss has been added to the sunken ghost ship, but I won't spoil who it is. Aside from that, you'll be seeing mostly cosmetic additions here. Luigi's got the All-Stars Plus World sprites, some stages have cosmetic flourishes from Super Mario Maker, and even the overworld has some extra stuff going on with it. The version of this game that has Peach as the enemy even has some new sprites for some of the enemies, making it worth experiencing just to see what those are all about. Overall, it's an inoffensive hack that can make for an interesting way to re-experience Super Mario World, especially if you were one of those people who was really into Bowsette back then. Ay Dios mío, oh golly gee, I cannot have this on the computer, my wife is gonna kill me. Now, here's one that's had my attention for a good while now. Dark Prince's Super Mario World Redone is a hack that has a ton of work put into it. We have a complete graphical overhaul here, with everything being given a beautiful makeover. Some levels even have some new tunes to keep your ears entertained. Like with the Bowsette hack, some level design and boss difficulty has been altered a bit. Level design changes are very small, but also noticeable if you've played this game a ton in the past. Some examples include these waterfalls in Vanilla Dome 2 you can swim up, and the pipes in the Vanilla Dome Fortress had their exits swapped, so taking the path that requires you to be small actually benefits you instead of making you play more of the stage. Regarding boss difficulty, in terms of the Koopalings, they now take a few extra hits fights to go down. Resinor fights got some wicked changes though. Now instead of them shooting one fireball at a time and the bridge collapsing after beating 2 of them, the bridge never collapses, but they shoot a ton of fireballs at you. Ducking and weaving through these shots can be tricky, that's for sure. There's also some things taken from the GBA version of Super Mario World here. Yoshi coins can now be found in some castles. Also, when you're playing solo, hitting R will switch between Mario and Luigi. Dark Prince also threw in some secret bonus levels, but you won't find a secret exit leading to them. Instead, you're told how to access them via a message block. There is very little documentation online regarding where this info is hidden away, so I'll give this hint. Check a message block that can change its message. Well, I hope that works for you because for some reason when I was playing, the message wouldn't change. If that fails, then you can always crack open Lure Magic to see it. Playing this hack was a neat time, but I want to give you a heads up about a major issue I faced while playing it. After beating the game and loading my file, I was shown Yoshi's Island, but Mario wasn't visible. It said he was in the Valley of Bowser, and I couldn't access Star Row at all to get out of there. Leaving through the entrance caused Mario to go to a blank stage and I couldn't move after that. It bummed me out that happened because I also went for 100% on that file, so if you're going to play this hack, please be careful regarding beating the game. Randomizers. For the uninitiated, a randomizer is a program that will, as you'd expect, randomize elements of a game, doing things like swapping item locations, level entrances, and enemy placements, to name a few general examples. Every day it seems like more games are getting randomizers that improve replayability in countless titles. Some even have multiple randomizers that do different things, like the ones we have for Super Mario World. The first one I want to comment on is the Super Mario World randomizer developed by authorblues and KaizoMan666. The website is very simple to use for setting up randomizers, allowing you to do things like swap level placements, their exits and sub-levels, the names of stages, and what enemies will appear in them. You can even set random boss difficulty, remove power-ups, and make stages randomly have ice physics or auto-scroll to add some extra challenge. There are also new Yoshi abilities and power-ups to find if you randomize them. Once you've adjusted your settings accordingly, or decide on which preset selection of options you want to roll with, all you have to do is provide a legally acquired ROM of Super Mario World and generate that randomizer. You can also generate multiple seeds off the same settings, making for multiple unique randomizer experiences. Playing through seeds of this randomizer was always a fun time for me, as it was a great way to add some extra challenge and surprise to playthroughs. You never know how a run's going to start, or where it's going to take you. This randomizer is an easy recommendation for those who want to spice up a playthrough of Super Mario World with some pleasant uncertainty. Then, there's Archipelago. Archipelago advertises itself as a multi-world randomizer. This allows you to have randomizers that sprawl across multiple different games. For example, you can have a Link to the Past randomizer connecting to an Ocarina of Time one, with you finding Link to the Past items in Ocarina of Time and vice versa, adding interesting levels of complexity to playthroughs. These are typically done in multiplayer, with each player playing through a specific game while finding items for other players so everyone can advance. While I haven't tried the multiplayer aspects of Archipelago myself, it seems like a fun way to game with some friends. Thankfully, there are ways to generate single-player experiences using their randomizers, so don't feel like you need to have a group ready to go if you want to give their Super Mario World randomizer a spin. Just a heads up though, setting up a game in Archipelago is pretty involved the first time around, requiring you to download specific software and emulators in order to get it to work. Once you figured that out though, you can go on to generate your seed. Their options for Super Mario World vary pretty drastically from the ones seen in the previous randomizer. You'll notice this right away with the addition of goals. You can set the game to require you to clear a certain number of castles before you can face and defeat Bowser, or you can make it so you need to find a specific amount of Yoshi eggs hidden throughout the game. Yoshi eggs won't just be hanging out in levels however, they'll be hidden behind specific checks. Based on your settings, these could include finding all the dragon coins in each stage, beating stages in general, and even making them possibly hidden in every single block in the game. Thankfully, you can also download an item tracker that can link to your seed that will display maps that will show you where specific checks are and if you set them off or not. So hunting things down is made a little less daunting with this. Yoshi eggs won't be the only thing you'll be hunting for though, as regardless of what you set your goal as, Mario will start with a majority of his abilities gone. He won't be able to use power-ups, swim, or even run at top speed to name a few. You'll have to hunt these powers down as you explore stages, and while this may seem like a cruel challenge, I honestly find it to be a cool gimmick that turns Super Mario World into a completely different game. You'll be exploring all you can with light running and jumping, and then, when you unlock a new power, suddenly the world opens a bit more, allowing you to gain access to more checks and secret exits. This basically turns Super Mario World from being a basic platformer to becoming a search action game, with you backtracking often to access checks you may have missed out on the first time around a stage. For example, you'll find yourself returning to Yoshi's Island 3 after getting the ability to use Yoshi, and then sacrifice him so you can get all the dragon coins. I got 1 coin, it wasn't worth it, sorry my son. Thankfully, if you're using the tracker, it'll let you know when specific checks are inaccessible if your current power's set, and will update automatically when you gain the powers needed to check them off. You can even spice up the checks to include traps that'll mess with your run, doing things like making the terrain slippery, spawning in enemies, and even causing interrupting message boxes to appear. This can get pretty hectic if multiple traps trigger at the same time. Running a Super Mario World Archipelago Randomizer will definitely put your skills to the test, but it will also create a Super Mario World experience that's hard to compare to. If you have some friends who have access to games supported by Archipelago, then you can all dive into a multi-world together, having your Super Mario World run enhanced by the items your friends find as they play their games, with you finding items for them in return. Time for some weird, mostly vanilla Super Mario World replays, starting with, apologies in advance if I butcher this pronunciation, Nenson Du Bois's Super Mario World Translucent Levels. Super Mario World supports code that allows for levels to be completely translucent, but was never used in the final version. This hack enables that, and while at first this can be chalked up to being more of just a visual hack, having translucent levels does a good job of making things a little more difficult, especially in stages that have brighter level layouts that are more difficult to see. This hack is a simple way to get a weird but decent challenge out of your next Super Mario World playthrough. Next up, we've got Super Mario World Remade from Memory. This is a collaboration hack worked on by multiple people with one simple goal: remake Super Mario World's levels, world map, and music entirely from memory. The result is, well, jarring to say the least. If you're someone who hasn't played a lot of Super Mario World, you may notice a few things off, but won't get too thrown off by it. If you're like me and played through it more times than you've experienced years in your life, then you're basically going to enter his hack and start saying things like, wait, that part of the level is wrong. What did they do to the world map? What is this music? Charge and Chuck isn't even on this stage regularly. Why am I getting a cape feather now? Yoshi never said that. Of course, none of this is derogatory. In fact, you'll most likely be laughing at all the ways it's different and getting a kick out of seeing just how much of someone's memory can get wrong sometimes. I am also completely enthralled by the idea of someone's only exposure to Super Mario World being this version of the game. Imagine growing up with this, only to find out as an adult that you were playing the wrong version of Super Mario World your entire life. I greatly enjoyed my time playing through it the first time, even if I did feel like I was playing a version of a game that was actually a skinwalker in disguise. Definitely give this one a shot if you've played Super Mario World and want to see it be close to, but not exactly, the original game. They even remade the back of the box from memory. Look at this dedication to being halfway there. Hey Mario, look. That viewer thought they were getting out of this without hearing about the unlicensed NES version of Super Mario World again. Get him! King Mayro's Hummer Super Mario World is an impressive hack that attempts to recreate the entirety of Hummer Team's Super Mario World NES port within the SNES version of Super Mario World. This makes it a remake of a demake built entirely within a game that was originally demade, which is kind of funny in an ironic way. As a conversion of the NES version, it's pretty faithful. Each level matches the design of the NES version perfectly, and now you have the actual good physics of the SNES version to make the game much more playable. On top of that, after beating the game, you'll be able to play some challenge stages, which offer certain stipulations and gimmicks that you must contend with while going through stages. It's honestly a cool addition, and it gives the game a bit more replayability. As of right now though, only stages up to 2-2 have a challenge to conquer. The dev promised to add more challenges in the future, but that was back in 2022, so those might not be coming as soon as one may hope. Of course, I'd love to be wrong because the challenges here are fun, and I would be happy to experience more of them in an update. Let's say you don't care about any of the things I've mentioned so far throughout this video. You don't want to play a weird port or a ROM hack that changes how Super Mario World looks or feels or any of that. You want to have a unique way to revisit the bog standard game without any outside modifications. Well, this can be achieved through the implementation of self-imposed challenges. These can come in many different shapes and sizes depending on your creativity and your ability to commit to potentially arduous runs that will make you feel as if the odds are constantly against you. Despite the potential difficulty of a challenge, the existence of it and the need to adhere to its rules should do a good job making a revisit to a game feel more unique than a simple straightforward romp. This, of course, holds true to Super Mario World, especially since there are many ways to make a playthrough interesting with some self-imposed limits. For example, you can have a run where you never use the cape. Removing the most overpowered power-up from your grasp will definitely do a good job of making the game feel a little bit different, or at the very least more challenging. We can also go further in this. Maybe you can write off the fire flower, or even the super mushroom as well, make it so you have to beat the game only as Small Mario. Now this could be an interesting challenge. You can also try a run where you don't use Yoshi, or activate the Switch Palaces. You can also try to beat the game with these stipulations without ever visiting Star Road, requiring you to play through a vast majority of the game with these harsh restrictions. Maybe try a run where you activate as few secret exits as possible. I remember doing this one once years ago because I was curious about how many levels you'd need to clear to beat the game with this restriction. I wound up having a good time, and it made me curious about all kinds of weird paths that you can take to get to the end. Maybe go for a run that requires you to beat the least amount of levels, or maybe a run that requires you to beat the most without running around circles. If you want, try doing a run where you count all the jumps you make, with the goal being each level the lowest amount of jumps possible. Or you can try a pacifist run, clearing stages without damaging enemies whatsoever. Of course, bosses are required to fight, but standard stage enemies will have to be left unharmed at all costs. You can also try your hand at speedrunning the game. Super Mario World's speedrun.com page lists a large amount of categories that you can race in, like 96 exit runs, beating the game without the cape, being restricted to using Small Mario only, and Lunar Dragon, which tasks you with beating every stage, collecting all of the hidden moons, and collecting at least 5 dragon coins in each stage. Learning routes and finding ways to save time will definitely make your next run of Super Mario World feel more interesting to go through. Still not enough? Well, there's also RetroAchievements. RetroAchievements is a service that adds achievements to a large number of retro titles, including Super Mario World. These fan-made achievements can range from simple and straightforward to decently challenging, requiring you to do things you wouldn't normally do during a playthrough of Super Mario World to unlock them all. There's ones for not taking the 1-up Lakitu uses as bait in Forced Evolution 4, completing Tubular without using the balloon or Blue Yoshi, and beating the game without dying, to name a few. Of course, course, not all the achievements are going to be that difficult, so more casual fans will still be able to earn a good few as they play through the game. If you're really in the market for achievements that will test your skills and patience, look no further than the bonus subset of achievements for this game. This is where the truly difficult and highly specific achievements are hiding, waiting to make you sink countless hours into Super Mario World as you attempt to earn them all. Are you prepared to collect all 470 coins in the Yellow Switch Palace? Or clear the normal exit of Star World 1 with a single spin jump? Or even find out what's inside Iggy Koopa's balls by sliding into them? I don't think I'm brave enough for that one, honestly. Regardless, there's no shortage of retro achievements waiting for you if you're eager to take on some crazy challenges. This just leaves us with one more Super Mario World challenge, one that I thought up back when I was a little kid. Back then, I was playing a lot of Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland. One of the unlockable side modes that you can get is a boss rush, which has you going against every boss in the game in a row. I attempted the boss rush countless times as a kid, but could never beat it. Despite that, I always enjoyed giving it an attempt. It also made me think of what it would be like to have a boss rush in Super Mario World. Since the game didn't let you go straight to the bosses though, this idea would stay a fantasy. However, it led to me coming up with an idea that accomplishes the goal but involves a few extra steps. It's called Boss Stage Rush. Boss Stage Rush, or BSR for short, requires the player to complete every castle and fortress as well as the Donut Secret House's secret exit, one after the other, starting with Iggy's Castle and Yoshi's Island and ending with you clearing Bowser's Castle via the front door. This is to be attempted on a file that has as many levels clear as possible, allowing you to quickly access each of these stages, as playing regular stages is not allowed. This is also a time challenge, so you can't afford to take things slowly. The timer starts when entering Iggy's Castle, and it stops when you defeat Bowser. You must enter Iggy's Castle with everything you'd have when loading a save file normally, which means no power-ups either currently on you or in your reserve box, and also 5 lives. Before starting, it is recommended that all of the stages that feature boss fights have been cleared on the file in order to save time regarding castle destruction and level pathway animations. You are not allowed to use power-ups at all for this challenge. Activating a stage's checkpoint counts as collecting a power-up. If you power up, you must immediately die. Collecting coins and extra lives are not penalizable actions, however. Switch palaces are also allowed to be active, but are not required, allowing for variable difficulty for the challenge. However, it's either all switch palaces are on or they're all off, if only for the sake of making categorizing runs less complex. Your goal is to clear each boss stage in the game as quickly as possible. The timer also does not pause between boss stages, which means you have to plan out the fastest route between each stage as well. With all these rules in place and finally written out, I can at last complete the Boss Stage Rush challenge. I've been thinking about this for over 20 years, and now it's finally my time to try it out. So that's what I did. I completed the first ever successful run of Boss Stage Rush. How did it go, I hear you ask? Well, my goal was to complete in under 30 minutes, but when that failed, I changed it to getting sub 35 minutes so I could feel better about myself. This could have gone a lot better. I took an unnecessary death in Lemon's Castle, lost a ton of time due to deaths in Larry's Castle, and also got a game over in Bowser's Castle, which also cost me a lot of time. I also saw some opportunities to save time in Wendy's Castle and other spots, and I also didn't open the Valley of Bowser's Ghost House secret exit, which was saved me a few seconds getting to Larry's Castle. Despite these failings, I had fun. I never really gravitated towards speedrun challenges before, unless they were features that were already in games, like in the Crash series or the Disney Afternoon collection. This was definitely a step outside my comfort zone, but it's one I'm glad I took, because now I think I kinda get the speedrunning mentality. Seeing ways to save time, practicing runs to workshop ways to speed things up, and and of course sharing your times with others to get some friendly competition going. You know what that means. I'd like to see more people try this challenge out. Whether you're a Super Mario World pro or more on the casual side, I wholeheartedly encourage you to give this challenge a shot. When you do, please leave a comment below with your time. And if you record your run, let me know because I'd love to check it out. Maybe we can get this featured as a new category on speedrun.com? Maybe? I have no clue how their moderation for that kind of stuff works, so no guarantees there, sadly. Either way, I hope you try us out and have a good time while you do it. Super Mario World is a simple game, but it also has enough going on with it to allow all sorts of approaches to playing it. Whether it's playing a different version of it, or playing a modified version with tweaked visuals, audio, or level orders, or you're just finding ways to beat it with specific restrictions. There's always a new, exciting way to tackle this timeless treasure of a game. Super Mario World has become my favorite game for many reasons, but its infinite replayability is easily its greatest strength. I hope this video gave you some reasons to boot up Super Mario World again to give it another playthrough. Or if you've never played Super Mario World before, I hope this video encourages you to seek it out and play it. If you wound up enjoying this video, show it by giving it a like and subscribing to my channel for more cool videos from me. Maybe also hit that bell if you want. If you have any ideas for other cool and interesting ways to replay Super Mario World, or for what other games could benefit from a video like this, leave a comment below. You can also write anything else you want in the comment box if you want. I'm a YouTuber, not a cop. You can also find me on Blue Sky, where I'll be posting video updates as well as whatever art I want to share. I'm also on Backlogged, where I've written hundreds of reviews as well as a plethora of normal and not so normal lists. So check those out too. Links will be in the description. That's all from me today. Yours locally, signing out.